Blake Lively has filed a complaint for damages against Justin Baldoni and Jamey Heath for sexual harassment during the production of It Ends With Us. During promotion of the movie in August, many people were noticing that while the cast of the movie were promoting the film together alongside Colleen Hoover, the author of the book the film is based on, Justin, who plays the male lead, directed and produced the movie under the studio he co-founded, Wayfarer Studios, alongside Wayfarer's CEO and Man Enough podcast host, Jamey Heath, he was entirely absent and doing promotion for the film all by himself. The cast were also no longer following Justin on social media, leading to speculation there had been some behind-the-scenes drama. It also leaked that Justin had hired a PR crisis management firm. What then followed was a wave of social media attacks against Lively, for what people assumed was her trying to take over creative control of the movie, and for her tone-deaf, light-hearted promotion of a movie about domestic violence. However, the complaint released Friday alleges that all of this was part of a coordinated, targeted astroturfing campaign, intended to destroy Blake Lively's reputation in order to discredit her claims of sexual harassment by both Baldoni and Heath. The document details a consistent pattern of abusive and harassing behavior by both Heath and Baldoni, resulting in numerous HR complaints from multiple people that started from the very beginning of filming. On the first day of filming, while attempting to hug Miss Lively's employee, Mr. Heath said, "I don't even know if we're allowed to do this. It's day one and we have a HR report already." On the second day of filming, Lively was already calling for a meeting with Heath and the other producers over Baldoni's unprofessional conduct. Heath showed up to her trailer while she was topless and having makeup removed. Lively asked that he wait, but Heath insisted that if she did not allow him into her trailer in that moment, the meeting with the other producers would not happen. Lively reluctantly agreed, but insisted he turn away from her. He then conducted the conversation looking directly at her while she was topless, and brushed off her concerns as his habit of wanting to look at someone when he was speaking to them. The complaint alleges Wayfarer had no formal sexual harassment policy, nor any information or process for how to respond to complaints about its leadership. When Blake then escalated to distributor Sony Pictures and informed them she wanted to file a HR complaint, they told her that Sony was not empowered to control Baldoni or Heath's behavior on set, and that such concerns must be raised with Wayfarer's leadership, the very men she was trying to lodge a complaint against. Things came to a head in January before filming resumed after it had been shut down due to guild strikes. Lively had called for a meeting between Baldoni, Heath, Sony and the other producers, outlining a list of inappropriate behaviors the cast and crew had experienced and that needed to cease in order for filming to resume. The list included requiring an intimacy coordinator on set, no more improvisation of intimate scenes, and a nudity writer up front detailing the content and extent of all intimate scenes so that performers could give informed consent, ensuring that sets were closed and limited during performance of intimate scenes, and not showing or sharing nude video and images of women. All of which is industry standard and should have been the bare minimum from the very beginning of filming. But it is absolutely enraging for a movie produced by men who talk extensively about men being better allies to not already have the industry standard protections in place and that don't share nudes needed to be called out. The meeting came after what the complaint alleges is a number of concerning incidents involving both Baldoni and Heath, such as Justin making a number of inappropriate comments towards cast members. He told a female cast member that her leather pants looked sexy, and when she rebuffed him because she felt uncomfortable, he brushed it off with, "I can say that because my wife is here today." In another incident, after having Blake remove her coat, told her, "I think you look sexy." She said, "That's not what I'm going for," and he replied, "I'm sorry, hot." Deeply uncomfortable, she said, "Not that either," and Baldoni responded sarcastically, "I guess I missed the HR meeting." And this sort of petty dismissal, when boundaries are being clearly communicated to you, is inappropriate in any environment, period. But on the set of a domestic violence movie from a man who just last month was being awarded and recognized for being an example of men who have shown extraordinary courage, compassion and commitment in advocating for the rights and empowerment of women and girls around the world, is completely and utterly inexcusable. The complaint details many such boundary violations, such as alleging that Justin had claimed he could speak to the dead, and that on several occasions had told Blake he had spoken to her dead father. Or Heath approaching Lively unsolicited to show her a video of his naked wife giving birth. Lively asked him immediately to stop and if his wife knew he was sharing the video, to which Heath replied, "She isn't weird about this stuff," as though Lively was weird for not welcoming it. Or during a car ride with Lively, her assistant and her driver, Justin allegedly disclosed that he had been assaulted by a former girlfriend, causing him to re-examine his past. "Did I always ask for consent? No. Did I always listen when they said no? No." Citing it as an example of things from which to learn and grow. This made Lively understandably unsettled, and after Baldoni had left, her driver remarked to her that he did not want Lively to be alone with Baldoni going forward. Wayfarer signed off on the list of protections, saying, "We find most of them not only reasonable but essential for the benefit of all parties involved," allowing filming to be completed. But as the film was approaching release, Baldoni appears to have become concerned that details of the harassment would be made public. At one point, Justin allegedly floats the idea of using his neurodivergence to explain away his behavior as social awkwardness and impulsive speech. By the end of July, Wayfarer, at the suggestion of their publicist Jennifer Abel, was strategizing with a PR crisis management firm run by Melissa Nathan to help Baldoni get ahead of the narrative. Abel then told Heath that she had contacted a friend who writes for People magazine. She is fully briefed of the situation, armed and ready to take the story of Blake weaponizing feminism to any of her outlets the minute we give her the green light. She hates Blake and will do anything for us. The PR company then put together an extensive document detailing how they would go about protecting Heath and Baldoni's reputation while also aggressively targeting and destroying the reputation of Blake Lively. Abel and Nathan then discuss what appears to be Baldoni's concerns that the plan wasn't strong enough. He wants to feel like she can be buried, with Nathan explaining she can't be explicit in detail. We can't write it down to him. We can't write "we will destroy her." Imagine if a document saying all the things he wants ends up in the wrong hands. And as a general rule, being worried that what you're talking about and plotting becomes public knowledge is a major sign you should not be engaging in what you're talking about and plotting. Baldoni shared a screenshot of a thread on X to his publicist that accused Hailey Bieber of bullying women. This is what we would need. The next day, Melissa Nathan was allegedly offering the team options to perform social media takedowns and start a social media campaign of rumors and attacks against Blake Lively that would be, quote, untraceable. The complaint also alleges Baldoni intentionally pivoted away from the marketing plan approved by Sony. It had stated to specifically avoid talking about domestic violence or making the film feel sad or heavy. It's a story about hope. Baldoni instead used what the complaint calls domestic violence survivor content as a shield. The complaint also shows Nathan and Abel celebrating having managed to silence other HR complaints, and that fans believe the issue of the feud was because Blake took control of the movie. Disclaimers out of the way, all of this is alleged and yet to be proven. Though it is worth noting that the book's author, Colleen Hoover, has offered support of Blake Lively and shared the New York Times article exposing all of this. Even assuming only fragments are true, it is still absolutely devastating and enraging. The two men who built their entire platforms on allyship and the importance of psychological safety would not only fail to provide the basic standard protections in their work environment to ensure that, but would actively harass and violate the boundaries of their co-workers. I struggle to find words that are not an endless stream of profanity. It is an absolute betrayal. But worse than that, I often talk about how you know your own behavior. Heath and Baldoni had every opportunity here to be transparent and accountable, to accept responsibility and to use the experience to actively listen to women telling them they are unsafe and to prioritize that safety. Instead, they prioritized themselves and chose to conduct a deliberate attack on the reputation of a woman for having the audacity to speak up and call out inappropriate and harassing behavior. And best of all, they utilized and weaponized other women to do their dirty work on their behalf so they could look clean. And they did all this while utilizing the backdrop of telling a story about domestic violence, talking about the importance of the female gaze, the importance of female voices, of lifting up, listening to, and celebrating the courageous women brave enough to share their stories, and exploiting survivors' stories while aggressively requesting, metaphorically burying a woman for doing exactly that. The absolute arrogance, dissonance, and audacity should fill you with rage. I also think this story raises important questions about our relationship with gossip culture. How quick we are to tear down a person and celebrate their downfall over our personal distaste. Summed up by this great comment on Reddit by Elxie3. Because I thought she was annoying, I rejoiced in this woman's total dismantling. How messed up is that? A successful woman is a touch annoying, and what? That means I am gleefully willing to believe every negative thing said about her? While I'm sure this news is incredibly disheartening for those who are still convinced there are decent men out there, for me it just reinforces a lot of what I talk about. How men need to operate from a foundation of complete and total transparency. That we should judge men like me, not on how well we say the right things or behave when we are praised, but how we deal with being criticized, with getting it wrong, with being shown all the ways in which we are still unsafe. Do they rise to the challenge, accept their flaws and take correction, working to become better and safer people? Or do they try to hide and bury those flaws along with the women who dare to call them out?